Hi everyone, welcome to the 000, the War Inside and Out podcast. This is where police, fireys, ambulance officers, doctors and nurses have the opportunity to share their experiences of what it's like on the front line. If you are battling post-traumatic stress disorder, please watch or listen to this on Spotify and YouTube with a support person. If you are in immediate danger, please contact Lifeline 13 11 14. I hope you get some value and some educational strategies on how to deal with PTSD, and I hope you get a greater understanding of what emergency services go through on a day-to-day basis. If you'd like to reach out to me to share your experience, my email is craiggibson75@outlook.com and my Instagram handle is craig_gibson75. Thanks very much for listening and watching. As I said, it's available on YouTube and Spotify, and please reach out to us if you need any help whatsoever. Thanks very much, guys.
All right, welcome everyone to the 000, the War Inside and Out podcast. This is a podcast where emergency services, current serving members and former serving members get to share their real life experiences. With me today, I have a legend, someone who I've got a lot of respect for, Gary Stavrakis. How are you, mate?
Good, mate. Yourself?
I'm very good, thank you.
It's good.
Mate, thank you very much for the coffee.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for the coffee. You're the one who actually gave it to me, the beans.
So a shout out to Ian and the team from Australian Warfighter Coffee. So they've provided the beans.
Yep.
Smooth and so they've
And well made.
Well made. You've got a bit of a passion for coffee?
I used to have a cafe
Whereabouts?
in Marrickville before I joined the cops.
Really?
Yeah.
What? How long do you have that for?
Oh, not very long. It was quite busy and a little bit too chaotic and hectic for me, so it absorbed my life.
Yeah. What did you enjoy most about that?
The social interaction with the public.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I love being around people.
Yep.
Yeah. And funnily enough, later on in my life, I liked being away from people.
I wonder if the cops did that.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? So
Yeah,
it was,
100%.
it was. I liked that part of it, but
Yep.
it was just like my brother and I opened it, and it was just full on.
Yeah.
It was full on.
Yeah. Do you remember how many kilos you did a week of beans? Or?
At the time,
Yeah.
about 22, and
Yeah, that's busy.
that was fairly hectic.
Yep.
Yeah, that was pretty busy at the time.
Yep.
And it was in Marrickville. It's still there. It was called the Post Cafe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's so I owned a Michelle's patisserie.
Oh, there you go.
Did you know that? So we were doing about 18 to 20 kilos a week, and that was busy enough. It was out in Mudgee.
Oh, okay.
So we were competing
really?
with a lot of the cafes
Did you
out
really?
there.
There you go.
So I went from the cops into Michelle's patisserie. That was
Yeah.
a huge wake-up call.
Mate, when I was at Bankstown TAG, we used to go to the only thing that was ever decently good was Michelle's patisserie.
Yeah, it was good coffee.
Yeah. Not at Bankstown, it wasn't.
Well, mate, I'm very impressed with your setup here.
Yeah, thank you, mate.
And thank you for the coffee.
Yeah, no worries.
Mate, this is about sharing your story about your time in the police.
Yep.
Can we share when you joined and why?
Okay, I joined in December 2001. That's
Yep.
when I tested in Goulburn.
Yep.
Why? Why did I join? Was about 29, I think, at the time, around about 29. And I had worked all my life. When I was at school, I really wanted to be a PE teacher.
Yep.
But year 12 sort of just really was fun, but it was fun because I played football and there was girls and that's why it was fun, and you go away to schoolies at the end of the year and do things like that. And I just wasn't focused on my schoolwork. So, I had a lot of jobs. So when I was in year 12, I actually did, I don't know if I told you, but I actually did before and after school care, like for kids.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so I lived at Roselands at the time and at a place in Lakemba. and it was a childcare centre in Canberra, and you know they just I was playing footy at the time, and I was, my second row partner, his mum owned it, and the childcare, and she asked me if I was interested in doing some hours there, and I said, yeah, no worries, I like kids. I was coaching footy at the time as well, like younger kids. Yeah, like that age of kids, I really enjoyed being around. So I did that, and I thought I could maybe go in later with a bit of experience as a mature age student. And then when I left year 12, she asked if I wanted to work at the childcare centre.
Really?
Yeah, with babies and everything. I know.
How'd you feel about that?
I did it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did it. So then, mate, I ended up working there for a couple of years, and then worked at the there was a childcare centre at the ABC radio downstairs at Ultimo, and I went there, and that was cool because it was pretty cool working there, and got to go to all the Triple J parties and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I met my first wife there.
Yep.
She was a teacher there and director there, and it was good, you know. But ultimately, like I wanted to do PE teaching, and then I thought I could get into it angle, but I wasn't to be. And mate, I went on after that. I had a VIP lawn mowing franchise.
Yep.
Yeah, that was shit.
Far out. We've had a similar path.
Yeah, really?
And not the childcare stuff, but I had my own lawn mowing business.
Oh, there you go.
Shells. So
there you
similar.
go. Yeah. Hated it. I hated it. You know, mate, how many lawns get on? Mate, wow. It was terrible. Like, you know, it was hot. It was boring.
Yeah.
You worked for yourself. You were chasing money. You know, it was, you know, you'd get to people's houses and they'd get their lawns mowed every 6 months, and it'd be full of dog shit, and you'd use the whippersnipper, and you'd eat the dog shit because you wouldn't see it.
The dust, the powder.
Mate, I can actually taste it as you said that. Yeah. So I did that for a while, and then I worked, worked part time in a gym at in Beverly Hills.
As a trainer,
you know, it's just an old school bodybuilding gym, but under a really good Martin. His name was the bloke who owned it, and he was really ahead of his time, I reckon, in terms of like natural bodybuilding and stuff like that.
Yep.
And so I really liked that angle. Like, you know, like if you're on the gear or anything like that, he didn't like people being in the gym if they were on the gear. And
fair enough.
Yeah, it was good. And I competed in a couple of natural bodybuilding shows.
Did
you? Yeah. So,
how'd you go?
Yeah, not too bad. Yeah, not too bad. Yeah.
Did you really enjoy that process?
I really did. Yeah. That's what. It was hard. Like mentally, like it's one of the hardest things I think I've ever done.
Yeah.
And it wasn't so much like. On the day of the show, like I was very nervous. I'm not very good like that being up on a stage, but I like the process.
Yes,
because it's a real mental battle, and I think that's what gave me some of the resilience I have, like even to this day, and especially in terms of my training. You know, you know, I'm not the most naturally gifted athlete, but I've got a good mindset. So yeah.
Yeah, that the process, when people enjoy the process more than the outcome, is when they get really good results.
Yeah. Like the outcomes, like, mate, you go up on that stage and mate, you look good for 5 minutes, and the next day I put on 5 kilos. I went to Bar Italia and Leichhardt and smashed gelato and pasta, you know, and then you're a little, you know, ball of fat 3 days later, you know.
Do you remember what got you through? Like, so when you would do it tough mentally, what would you say to yourself? What was did you have a go to get you
during that time? Yeah. You know what? I can't remember. I just remember that I just always thought if I was going to do it, you know, I'm going to do it well.
You just had this drive.
Just the drive, and and I've still got it. You know, I've still got that drive. With, like I said, I'm definitely not the most talented athlete. You know, and you know was. You know, an average rugby league player.
Mate, you're pretty good, don't worry.
Loved it. I loved it. You know, I loved playing, but I was, you know, average. But, you know, I was fit. And so I enjoyed that. Yeah, so I did that, worked at the gym. Then I went and worked for at a place at Ashfield. with a guy called Bill Cruz. He runs a soup kitchen and does food packages out of Ashfield. Reverend Bill Cruz, and I just helped with emergency housing and stuff for people up there, and help just do food packages and worked with the kids up there and stuff like that.
That rewarding?
Oh, that was awesome. Yeah, awesome. Like not a real well paid job, but it was awesome working for them. Very was an eye opener in terms of mental health. Because I was pretty guarded. Like growing up, like I had a good upbringing. Yeah, my mum and dad divorced, and stuff like that. But I didn't see any. There was no violence in the house, or drug abuse or alcohol abuse or anything like that. So I was pretty guarded. I went to a public, very white dominant, public school. There was never any dramas. So had a good group of friends. Yeah, like I said, played footy the whole way through school and stuff. So, man, I've had a pretty sheltered life, So it was before you'd see, you'd walk around Surrey Hills. My mum and dad had clothing factories around Surrey Hills and stuff like that. So as a kid, I remember walking through Surrey Hills a lot. And you'd see people talking to themselves, talking to them, swatting things away, and you just think they'll pissed or whatever, but you didn't know that they'd have, there was a thing called schizophrenia and other mental illnesses, right? So mate, it was a real eye opener in terms of how people's life crashed. And some people chose to live like that on the street, like it. That was just how they really chose to live. They had money, or it's not a real. I wouldn't say a choice as such, but
they didn't help themselves to get out of it.
Yeah, and they had opportunities. And but I don't know.
Did you see a common theme amongst people that sort of gravitated to that life or fell into that life? Was there broken home, or was there?
I don't know, mate. It was more.
All sorts.
It was all sorts. It was mental abuse. It was drug abuse. It was alcohol abuse. But I think it all stemmed from mental illness. So.
How long did you do that for?
Mate, I did that for about a year and a half.
Wow.
And loved it. And every Christmas Day they'd have a big Christmas Day bash up there, and when I see what my kids have. Yeah. What my kids have now, and what I saw up there, and I didn't have my kids. I didn't have the kids then. So we used to go up on Christmas Day with.
Did that time inspire you, or did you feel helpless?
I felt a bit of gratitude for what I had.
Yeah, wow, that's a great answer.
Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
It made me grateful to think, every night I've got a roof over my head.
Yeah.
Where I had people come into my office and they had to explain why they couldn't pay their rent, and we helped with stuff like that.
Yeah.
And they didn't know where they were staying. They were staying in hostels. You know what some of the hostels are like. especially in a West Petersham, Stanmore, Ashfield area, like Summerhill, like terrible. And the people that owned them were making so much money, mate.
Yeah.
So much money. Like they were privately owned. So they were making so much money from it.
That's an awesome answer, mate. Gratitude.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and I still forget about it sometimes. I always,
we all do.
Yeah, I always feel sorry for myself, and I go, well, it doesn't take much to see someone in a worse predicament or state than you, But we do, we forget about that sometimes.
And then after that?
After that, what did I do after that? Had the cafe in Marrickville. Yep. And it was like I sort of went through that briefly. It was awesome. It was busy from day one, and I did it with my brother, and I love my brother dearly now, but we didn't talk for 10 years. So
really?
Because of it.
Really?
We had a fallout, but we love each other now, so we're best mates. So, God knows what happened, you know. But just it was just hard, mate. It was just
Yeah,
hard.
there's a lot of stress.
I probably, and again, I
business.
just probably wasn't ready. Like he had a business, he had a good business, so he knew that it was hard work, and probably I just didn't realise how hard it was going to be. I just thought I'd be drinking coffee all day and schmoozing.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
Would you do it again? Cafe?
I would.
Well, mate, based on this, I think you should.
Thank you. Yeah, I'll do it very differently. You know.
Yeah, isn't it amazing how you do something and you think, oh, you know, didn't quite work, or you know, didn't live up to its potential, and then some time passes. And if you could go back, you would do things differently, and it would be a raging success.
Yeah, I reckon too. Yeah. So Mum and Dad had a cafe too in Nelson Bay. You know,
Okay.
They went up there to retire and had it in their 70s.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, so that was pretty crazy.
Coast to the sea change.
Yeah. But,
Nice.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. That's another podcast. That's another podcast, mate. Yeah. So okay.
That's our relationship series.
Yeah. That's another podcast. So yeah, mate. I did that, and then I was living in Marrickville at the time, and then I just decided with my wife at the time that we thought we'd get out of Sydney, and we moved to Catherine Hill Bay. I told you we bought a house up there, and we don't have it anymore. I'm divorced now from my first wife, but who I get along with. You know, she's a nice lady.
Yep.
And we get along. We got 2 kids. I got 2 boys with her, and so I went up there, mate. And mate, I was, to be honest, as nice as it was up there, I was a little bit lost. I sort of needed that's when I just thought I need a career. Mm-hmm. You know, I just thought I was pulling beers at a place, and you know.
There's something in you.
Yeah, I just needed a career, and I just remember at the time I saw this leather jacket. I was going through the newspaper at the time, and that's where all the jobs were in the newspapers.
Yep.
You know, in the Herald. Herald, remember the Herald had the big employment.
Saturday morning, you get it out.
Yeah, the employment
go through
section.
your jobs.
Yeah, I just remember seeing the old police leather jacket in, like, you know, Mardi Gras style or whatever it was, and it just stood out in the paper. You know.
Yeah.
And I just said, I said to my missus, what about if I join the cops? You know, I actually applied when I was 19.
Really?
Yeah, so I went through the whole process at Redfern at the time, and ended up getting fitted for a uniform and got a date to start, and then just went, I'm not ready.
You pulled the pin?
Yeah,
wow.
when I was 19, so...
Yeah.
Wasn't ready.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't, there's no way, knowing what I know when I was now, that when it was like then, I reckon I would have lasted 2 years.
Yeah.
You know, and either been arrested or, you know, or just, or left, you know, do you know what I mean? I wouldn't have lasted. I didn't have the right headspace, mate.
That's incredible self-awareness at that age to go, you know what, I've been through this whole process and then no.
Yeah. 19's a tough age, I reckon, to join the... Like, you know, I see my son's 17 now, you know, and he'll be 18 in September, and he talks about joining, you know, and I just look at him and go, mate, you're a baby. You know, like, you know, he's a good boy, but he's got no, you know, he's not streetwise, and I don't know. I always think, you know, maybe there needs to be, you know, a certain cutoff, you know, an age, but whenever that is, I mean, kids grow up. I mean, like I said, I lived a fairly sheltered life, mate. So, and it was easy going. So, maybe that's why I sort of got to 19 and went, I wouldn't have lasted, knowing what I know about the cops and.
Is there an age where you would go feel okay about?
I reckon 25 is a good age.
I think exactly
for whatever. I don't know why. I think 25. Like I was married when I was 24. You know, I was responsible for a mortgage. You know, like I had dealt with people in work and stuff like that, in other roles, and bosses and stuff like that. But you know, and some of the best cops joined the cops when they were 19, and some of them are still in there. You know, so it's just in general, I would say no to a 19-year-old. Like, you know, Zane, my son, like he wants to join. He talks about it, and I don't put him off it.
Yeah. I mean, everyone's got to have their own path, don't they?
Yeah.
I was 22, and I look back now and think I was too young. I wasn't really ready. I was very similar, sheltered childhood.
Yeah.
And it was a real introduction to life. And I wish I had a few extra years of just, working.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. It's I think you need that base or foundation, of life.
Yep.
To know. I mean, it's you have to be so skilled at so many things, like to be in the cops,
Pretty much straight away.
Yeah,
You're pretty much thrown in a deep end, and
you are. You don't know. I mean,
yeah.
you don't know. I mean, you hear some horrible stories of police officers as probationaries and what's happened to them, and even like when they do this, is it still called when they're SPOs?
Yeah.
How many SPOs have got themselves in trouble, and from just being out, like you just don't know.
Yeah,
exactly. You don't know, and you don't, like, how does that 19-year-old kid have the arsenal to deal with some of the things?
Yeah. Well, emotional intelligence isn't fully developed, or our emotional capability to deal with trauma is not fully developed until you're 25.
Exactly.
And so you're throwing a 19-year-old that still has brain development and still trying to, work out how to manage emotions and how to plan and how to, interact socially, and
yeah,
mate, it's a nightmare.
Yeah, and my son thinks he can do it, playing because he plays, rugby league in the Penrith comp.
Yeah.
So he reckons he's tough.
You should play for the Rabbitohs. So you're at Catherine Hill Bay?
Yes.
And then
I'm
joining the cops?
I'm joining the cops.
Yeah. What was the process like to get in there?
A little bit stupid. I because of my inability to do well in the HSC.
Yep.
Yeah, I had to go and do a. They had a. It was like a pre-university course that the cops had, but I sort of wasn't aware, right? So I went and did another one at Newcastle Uni, and it was an open foundation course or something like that, and I did quite well. I ended up, with a TR at the time of, in the high 80s. So
wow.
it was pretty cool. So I could have actually gone back to and done teaching or something like that, So I did think to go back. I didn't really want to go study again. So I applied, finished that, got in, and it was actually good because I got to get back into essay writing and stuff like that, and stuff that you do down at the campus now, at the police academy. So it held me in good stead for that, mate.
Nice.
Yeah. So went down and moved, and then decided we'd move back to Sydney.
Yep.
Yeah.
What was your time like at the academy?
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was interesting.
Did you feel it equipped you? Did you feel ready
equipped me for what?
To hit the streets? That's a different podcast.
Plenty
of time at Tully?
No. Yeah. Plenty of time at Tully's and Dingoes.
Yeah.
Spent lots of time there.
I think that's just the common theme.
Yeah.
Kind of the rite of passage.
Yeah. But again, mate, I was like, I was down. I knew that I was just down there for a purpose, and I just had to get it done. So, and I need, I can't just get through. I just can't wing it.
Yeah.
So a lot of the people down there could just wing it and go out and get out, but I just can't wing it. So I had to apply myself. So, and I didn't want to go back and do any more subjects. Like I just wanted to get it done and get out of there.
Yeah.
And I did that. So I did that.
Awesome, mate.
Yeah.
Your day that you were test.
Yep. December.
How'd you feel?
Pretty proud. Yeah, I had mum and dad down there, and I was pretty proud. Like it was a good time. I remember it being hot. It was December. I was hot on that parade ground, and had my wife at the time down there, and my mum and dad, and some real good friends down there. So it was. At the time, obviously I felt old. 29, being down there, but obviously you're not. So
still a baby, mate.
Still baby. Yeah. So it was a good time.
We've just offended everyone in their 20s.
Yeah, that's right. Got first posting.
Yeah, where was your first post?
Bankstown.
Bankstown.
Yeah, Bankstown.
Wow.
I put in for Bankstown.
Yep.
Yeah, because we bought a house in and around that area. So I wanted to work, close to home. And I wanted to work. I knew that I'd get Bankstown as well. Like I didn't want to be silly and put in somewhere, Byron or whatever, and
Rose Bay,
and then end up at Guildford or I knew if I put down Bankstown, I'd get Bankstown.
Definitely.
And after speaking to, I had a few copper friends at the gym that I was training at, and they worked there, and they told me it was a good learning station.
Oh, 100% it would have been.
Yeah, and I felt like I was a good age as well to go there, and by 29, I knew what was going on, in the area and in life, and I felt equipped, well equipped to go there, and I knew I'd be dealing with every job. So I liked the idea of that.
100%. Yeah. Do you remember? And it's actually interesting you say that. So 10 years passes, but you now talk about being equipped. You've had more life experience.
Yeah.
You experienced life in more of a diverse way, so you were kind of ready at 29, not 19.
Yeah. But then when you're 39, you're more equipped, aren't you?
Yes.
For different things that happen in your life, family, divorces, I got divorced, remarried to my second wife, Belinda, and I'm happy. You get equipped with another lot of arsenal and armour and
just another level of life.
Yeah, and ready to go again. Yeah, so I got.
What was your first week like? Do you remember?
My first day was Christmas Day.
Oh, you're joking.
Yeah, I was shitting myself. I just remember I was shitting myself, and I'm 29, and I'm shitting myself about going to work.
Yeah, I remember being nervous as.
Yeah. Oh, so nervous.
Christmas Day, yeah, right.
Yeah, and
so what was that like?
There was massive bushfires in Sydney, especially around the national park, and we got sent down to to do some traffic control. I was there for 22 hours.
You're joking.
That was my first shift in the cops.
22 hours.
And I just walked home. I went, oh my God, I don't want to do this anymore.
Wow.
Yeah, it was Christmas Day, and I was looking forward to getting home. And
you would have got looked after, plenty of breaks.
Yeah. Because I was just watching the fireys getting all their food, and I think someone threw me a soggy cheeseburger after about 19 hours.
Hey, this is dead set in that. So I'm just about to offend everyone in the cops and ambos, but the fireys, they after 2 hours, they have to have, if they don't get a snack or they get an allowance, and after 4 hours, if they don't get a meal, this is being at a job, then they get a meal allowance. It's like $29.
Do they?
4 hours.
Wow.
Imagine that in the cops. You didn't get your meal break, so they had to pay you a meal allowance.
Well, when I was in GDs at Bankstown, mate, if you ate your lunch, you'd inhale it. Mate, you would inhale it like if you got to eat your lunch.
Yeah.
My other positions, I was blessed because my other positions in the cops were much better. But they got better.
Yeah.
But you would have to inhale your lunch, and that's how busy it was, and we worked a lot of overtime, and there was lots going on in Bankstown, and so that was my first shift. I just remember getting home and going, I was fried.
Do you remember a time or a job where the first time you were really like shocked, or this is surreal, or I can't believe this has happened?
Yes. Yep. I was working on an awesome team in Bankstown, teams 1 and 2. I still remember, it was awesome. We had an awesome team. Everyone was. It was a big team, and 2 teams worked together, and they had awesome, really good camaraderie, and
everyone looked out for each other.
Mate, it was super. I loved it.
Yeah.
I love that about the cops.
Yeah.
I love the camaraderie. Because after playing footy, that's when you stop. I think I was still playing by that stage anyway, but it was cool. So I think the first in Bankstown a lot. Obviously in general duties. fireworks, shots fired would come up, on the radio, shots fired, a location, you go there, fireworks or, kids letting off bungers or whatever. And I remember I was working with one of the guys and we're at Bass Hill, Bass Hill police station, just having a feed, and a thing came up for shots fired at Sefton Playhouse.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Yep.
Anyway, we're laughing, joking, going there. It's going to be nothing. Started getting a little bit more serious, as we were going. Ambulances being called there, and I remember rocking up, and there'd been a guy shot in between two cars, and I remember taking out his. It was like chaos, there was people swearing, and trying to get in our faces and stop things, and I just remember dragging this guy, and had blood, had chest full of bullet holes.
Wow.
And trying to plug them up, and no amount of first aid can really prepare you for something like that, you know. So that was fairly surreal, and that ended up that was basically a start of a massive war in the Bankstown area between a couple of families. So, for the next year or two, there were shootings everywhere, and that wasn't the first one I went to, So, but I'd never seen anything like that in my life.
Yeah.
I never even saw a dead body really.
Yeah.
And then you had someone that was bleeding to death, and in front of you making noises, and horrible. Horrible, and trying to protect him, wondering where your partner is, and wondering who's behind you, wondering if there's another shooter still around, a million things. But your first thing goes, you've got to protect this.
Preservation of life.
So,
do you remember that night or going home from that shift? What were you feeling when everything calmed down?
I can't remember. That was a long time ago.
Yeah.
But I remember that it was just so surreal, and I remember. I think we got counsel back at the station. I can't even remember by who, mate. But it was surreal. It was hard. I remember it was hard to wind down at the time. I got home. I spoke to my wife about what happened. Mate, and even then, I wasn't very good at doing things like that. I'm not one for. I was never one for coming home and my wife saying. Or my current wife saying, "Hey, how was your day?" And I go, "Where, Belinda does that. She talks.
Yeah,
she's a talker, and I keep things. I keep things bottled up.
Yeah,
and I had probably for a lot throughout my police career.
Yeah, I might ask you about that a bit later.
Yeah, no worries. So it was. That was like the first sort of real encounter with wow.
Yeah, there is a moment for everyone where there is a shock that okay, this job's real.
Yeah.
Did you so there was obviously a war going on over the next 12 months, heaps of shootings.
Yeah, well that from that stemmed Task Force Gain really.
Right.
Yeah, that during that first
so. Did you ever feel unsafe yourself?
Mate, again, I was lucky. I worked with males and females, with a good bunch of people at Bankstown.
Yep.
That I did feel safe with. I did feel there wasn't many times I would go. There was a couple. There was sometimes times when you had to haul your partner in and go, hey, just don't escalate things, because if you escalate it, I know that I'm going to have to protect you. You know what I mean? So there was a bit of that, but no, I did feel safe. You don't realise how each job is such a risk assessment though, and that's what I don't think the public really know how hard a cop's job can be at every job.
Yes.
like, you know, and
I'm glad you said that.
yeah. You know, I've done a lot of things in my police career that involved, especially later, that involved a lot of risk assessment. You know, and that risk assessment was done prior to the job, you know, with tactical units involved, you know, the TAU, you know, worked a lot with Hamo.
Yep.
You know, so they would do a risk assessment. The investigators would do a risk assessment. The unit I was working with at the time would do a risk assessment. So people would look at that role that I was doing and go, wow, that's a tough role that you did, Stav. You know, but you go to GDs, mate, sometimes you have 5 seconds to do a risk assessment. Like, you know, you go to domestic, like, well, what do you, like, that, when people are having domestics, and you, like, I'll throw out my hand and say, you know, when I'm having a blue with my missus, like, that's when I am the most passionate and angry and upset and emotional.
So much emotion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you don't know if the person behind the door's been drinking, if they've been taking ice, speed, whatever. You don't
Firearms,
know that. Yeah. Firearms, weapons, broken bottles, blah blah blah. You don't know the size of the dude behind the, you know, and you hear a scream. Like, what do you do? What do we do as coppers?
Straight in.
You know, and you know, like, again, you know, some of the worst incidents to coppers have happened at, you know, small things like neighbour disputes. You know,
Yeah.
you know, so it's very hard. You have to risk assess every job, whether it's a motor vehicle accident or whatever it is, you know, and you have to be the one that has to make that, you and your partner,
Yeah.
you know, and I don't think the public realise, you know,
The pressure that is on
Yeah.
general duties officers. Yeah. And
pulling over a car.
Yes.
Do you know how?
Yeah.
You know, I've pulled over cars and it's gone insane. You know, you know, firearms and whatnot.
Yeah. 100%, mate. And I think it's really good that you bring that up, because that's what this is all about, just trying to raise awareness of what police actually go through. And then after the police, you never lose that alertness or that heightened state of when you go into the shopping centre, or where you go into a new place, or when you're just driving down the street, you're scanning, you're analysing, you're doing your risk assessments everywhere. It never leaves you.
Well, and it gets worse.
It gets worse.
Yeah, it gets worse.
You feel helpless.
I got worse, and then you have kids, and then, you know, then you have a family, and it gets worse, man.
Yeah.
So it gets worse.
Do you have another experience in GDs at Bankstown where you know, same thing, like you just, you know, with your partner and shit hit the fan?
Mate, I've been to other shootings and stuff like that, but no, not really. Like, you know, domestics, you know, like, you know, wrestling people with mental illnesses, and you know, they got out of hand. But look, I was fortunate enough that I after about a year in general duties, I didn't really like the cops.
Yeah.
You know, so I was ready to leave.
Really?
I just, you know, because.
So had you been confirmed, or you're still in your pro?
I was just
this?
confirmed.
Right.
Yeah, so I was just confirmed. You know, and
what was going through your mind?
oh, mate, you know what? I just thought, went through a bit of stage of working with different people that I felt escalated a few jobs, and I didn't want to look at. I felt like a babysitter to them, and you'd go to a domestic, and then you go back to a car accident, then you go to an assault at the pub, and then I felt like it was just the same cycle, and I didn't feel mentally healthy, you know, that I was doing these things, you know, and thought, you know, I enjoyed it for a while, and I was working with a good bunch of people too, you know. Like I said, like sometimes you get the occasional dickhead that you work with, and you have to try and de-escalate them, and you go, like, if it turns to shit, like, it's going to be me, not you.
Yes,
it's going to be trying to make things better. So, there was things like that, and I just wasn't enjoying it, you know. So I just.
How'd you get through that?
Well, I just went and spoke to the boss. Actually, had a very approachable, a boss that was very approachable at the time. boss at Bankstown, and I just said, "Oh,
Doesn't that help?
mate, he was awesome." Yeah, Mr. Parsons.
Okay.
Yep, he was a good bloke. Yeah, he was a good bloke. Yeah, so
Saved your career?
yeah, because I said I was going to leave, and he said, "Oh, why don't you go and try? What about if you just hang on for another couple of months for me and 6 months? It will end up being 6 months. I only really did GDs for 6 months, 18 months.
18 months, yeah.
Yeah, and then I went to Bankstown TAG, like a plain clothes unit. Yeah, and
what sort of role did you have there?
it was at the time. It was a proactive. Reactive. Yeah, TAG. Yeah. So we'd get sent and do just high visibility policing and stuff like that. But it was with a really good bunch of blokes.
Yep.
And like we all played police footy together. Like, so it was fun. Like it was fun. And sometimes there was not too much work going on, but it was fun. Like and then we turned into a smaller sort of drug unit.
Yep.
Yeah, which started my my interest in some drug work and stuff like that. You know, so that was and they were all really good. Yeah, and switched on blokes. And formed some good friendships there that I still have now. With a couple of boys. Yeah,
good. The cops is good for that. You can make lifelong friends.
You can, you can. You can. It can be quite fickle though too. But I've kept friends who are true friends.
Yes.
And there's just some people that you never speak to, and even when you change from one section to the other, you keep in touch with who you want to keep in touch. And
exactly.
And what do they say? Friends for seasons, friends for a reason, friends for life. So friends all fit in that category, and that's okay. Because that's just. It would have been the same with you playing footy. Friends for a reason, friends for a season. Friends for life. I've got all my good mates, all my really close mates. I've been mates with since I was 5, and we're still mates.
That's awesome. Hey.
Yeah, there's a group of 4 of us, and there's a bunch of girls too that I went to school with, and we're all really tight.
Yeah.
Which is super important to me.
Yep.
And they know me inside out, and I've seen their ups and downs in life, and they've seen mine. Mm-hmm. And I've always got their back. They've always got my back. And there's people in the cops that I went through and are still really good mates with.
Yeah, man.
So went up there. Went to.
So with TAG,
Yep.
for those that have no idea with policing and a target action group or a small drug unit, can you share maybe 1 or 2 experiences that what that unit would do, or a job that you went to, or maybe a search warrant you could?
So. We did a lot of search warrants on hydroponics, setups in the area. So we covered this southwest of Sydney.
Yep.
So we'd predominantly do a lot of search warrants or
Isn't it amazing the effort some went to
oh my God,
bedrooms in houses are fully fitted out,
and kids still living in there, with wires hanging out of water and stuff like that, and walls knocked down.
Yeah.
And you go, oh my God.
Yeah. Do you remember?
And they sucked. It sucked doing the search warrant there and taking everything down. And oh my God, I hated it.
Yeah. Do you remember one?
But I do have some good scales still from those times that we still use. So
really?
yeah.
Oh, that's gold.
So that is good. And they still work, mate. They're the best scales ever. Yeah. Use them in the kitchen to measure me food.
Stood the test of time.
Unbelievable. Yeah.
Do you remember a setup that you saw that went, wow, this is some effort?
Oh, no. But all Canley Vale.
Yeah.
Canley Vale and Camaraderie, like they were magicians at it. Whatever they did.
Did you ever work at Pacini?
No.
Yeah.
No. Yeah.
I did 12 months at Cabra during Pacini.
Yeah.
That was wild.
Yep.
Yeah. So I imagine Bankstown would have been pretty similar.
When I started at Bankstown, that was Cabra started dying off. So they cleaned up Cabra quite a bit and started moving out to other places like Liverpool and Bankstown and stuff like that.
That makes sense because I was there from end of 99 through to early 2000.
Yeah.
And so there was a whole heap of rolling big search warrants for the big players at the back end of me being there, which would have stifled the supply going into 2000 and 2001, and so probably would have died down after that.
Yeah, so mate, then our focus changed a little bit at Bankstown TAG, where we did like controlled drug operations and stuff like that, just on small to medium guys, in the area, and that was pretty cool. That was fun. Yeah.
With just going back to kids being in houses, and this has been something that probably been raised in a few podcasts now. And your background with working with children, do you remember a job that you went to where you were shocked by how kids lived, or what they might have been exposed to that the general public might not be aware of?
Because I worked most of my career in victimless sort of crime sort of sections, so it's not. But until I finished up at the child abuse squad, that's where my last posting was, and it was gut wrenching, mate. It was really gut wrenching to see how children were treated and the families that they came from, and it was gut wrenching, mate, and quite rewarding. Like that was a I had no idea what I was doing. But it was tough. But I had no idea what I was doing because of where I had been previously, and I'd been out a long time, So going back to an environment like that, doing briefs again, and the workload, oh my God, mate, the workload, the people that work at Child Abuse Squad, mate, they should be getting paid triple because it is tough and so busy. There was people that had 30 plus cases like that. What's that?
Yeah.
What's that?
Yeah. And so that the public wouldn't probably be aware that, you've got one police officer in charge of 30 matters.
That's right.
Yeah.
And then you've got the, prosecutors asking for the most stupidest things for you for your briefs.
Yeah.
And in the end, I would just say no.
Yeah.
I'm not getting that. How am I going to get video of this? How am I going to get video go to this place and ask them? It was hard. And the workload, the workload is tough. And then there's the emotional attachment to each job, and interviewing kids, and it's tough. I'm telling you, those people that work there, they should get paid triple.
Do you remember how many police were in that unit, or because I'm aware now that
a couple of them have come together, haven't they? Yeah.
So there's a couple of different units now, all in one. There's up to 400 staff working on that.
Yeah. So when I was there, you'd work with docs as well, right? So half the officers docs, and half was us, and I think we probably had 10 of us there. 8 to 10 of us. Wow. And covering how busy it is out at Penrith, and you've got some tough areas that you have to deal with. You're going from Mount Druitt to Lithgow, and it was a huge area. Huge, or Parramatta Lithgow, or whatever it was. It was a huge area. And it was busy. It was busy, but it was rewarding. But it was busy.
How did you manage your mental health during that time?
Oh, mate, that was my last. I didn't cope very well there. I was not well equipped to be a police officer again when I got there. For a lot of different reasons.
Yep.
Just from what I did previously, I just wasn't equipped. Mentally, it was more. In relation to work, because the police, the cop system changed, 2 or 3 times, so I wasn't around when I was doing different things, in my police career at that stage. So I didn't use cops. There was no need for me to use cops.
So can you share a funny or a weird experience in the cops?
I can actually. I was thinking about this actually the other day when you had Matt Hamilton on the on the podcast.
Another great man.
Yeah, funny.
Yeah,
hard.
Yeah, hard as nails, isn't he?
Yeah, there was when I was where I worked in a section in the cops. We used to do some work with the TOU and some self-defense stuff that was just for our unit.
Yep.
Just because we didn't carry any firearms or weapons or anything like that, so we had to learn some other things, so it was awesome, and like a shout out to Hamo, like one of the best in that field, trainers, in the cops, he was awesome, so smart, so
he's held in such high regard from a lot of different people.
Places. Yeah, especially where I worked, I loved doing jobs with them and knowing and their whole unit, they were awesome to work with, and I felt very safe all the time. Working with them. But we did some training with him, and there was another bloke there. I think he's an inspector now, but I used to know him very well, and I was taunting him through the week and telling him that he'd been getting a bit fat. I've been seeing him around at jobs, and I said, mate, you're carrying a bit of weight, mate. You're getting a bit fat.
Letting yourself go.
Yeah, let yourself go. You probably don't move as fast as you used to, and him and it wasn't so much directed at Hamo because I knew Hamo would kill me, so it wasn't really directed at Hamo. It was more directed at this other fella, so we did some training with him, and I remember there was a scenario that we had to do where we would be in a room and basically you had to get out of the room, and there was only the door. There was only the door, and I thought, this is, how intense could this be, right? And then I saw Hamo and this other bloke who he's probably about 6'3", and he's probably about 125 kilos.
Brick shit ass.
Big guy. And he's not really fat, he's probably carrying a little bit of weight at the time, but not really fat, So and then I saw them walk in when it was my turn, and they had headgear on.
Oh.
Yeah. And they said, "Put this on." I went, "Oh God, oh no,
Here we go."
Yeah. And anyway, so they came in, and
heart starts to race.
Oh my God! I thought, how am I going
to
get up? I made a break, right? And I thought, I'm going to get out. And I just felt someone tug on my leg and pull me back, mate. Like I weighed about 5 kilos, and it wasn't Hamo. It was a bloke that I've been taunting about how fat he was, and he got on top of me and he just started launching in, punching me, and I hear Hamo going like, Hamo was trying to tell us what to do to get him off, and self-defense. And he's going like bridge. He's going bridge, stab, bridge. And I'm going, mate, I'm like 85 kilos. I'm trying to bridge this guy.
Yeah.
That's 125 kilos. And mate, there was no way. And I just remember as I bridged, he just went whack and smashed my schnoz.
Oh, you're joking?
Yeah. And my it just went. Like just exploded, mate. Blood all over my face,
Did you ever say anything about?
I was
let
knocked
myself
out.
Go now, eh?
Yeah. It was a bit of banter. It was all fun, and it was no it was just there was no. Well, maybe a little bit of malice, but it was all fun. Not so funny for everyone else,
But
so
you.
Still talk about it a lot.
Yeah,
with some of the guys, from the unit, so it was
the visual of you trying to bridge.
Oh mate, unbelievable! And as he just launched this big right hand, and because I've got a fairly large schnoz that protruded out of the headgear, it was all over my face. So.
Oh, good story.
Funny, not funny.
Hamo would
fun.
remember that too.
Yeah, it was pretty funny. Yeah, it was pretty funny. So, but in all honesty, we did some really good things with those guys, and you felt very safe working with them. So, but funny times. Lots of things are probably. I remember going on a footy trip to Hawaii with the with the Cronulla team. That was pretty funny.
Police footy was really good for
best
teamwork, bonding. It was great,
mate,
and an outlet for people.
It was the best, you know, and then, you know, you're allowed to, you know, I remember we used to train and got rostered on sometimes, you know, to train. They loved it, you know, the bosses loved it, and it got turned around a little bit, you know. I think they play over a weekend now or something like that. But you played every week, and you built rivalries with other. There was rivalries with other teams, you know. But ultimately, after the game, it was all good, and you know, mate, and met the best guys. You know, I met the best guys, and I did like that about the cops. I do miss the camaraderie of the cops. You know, there's a lot of it I miss, and especially police footy. You know, especially police footy. Yeah, I loved it. You know, and I played right up until I was nearly 40. Yeah, playing police footy. So you know, it was
How'd
fun.
the body hold up with that?
Oh, well, it held up all right then. I actually ended up I got my spine fused, and I had back surgery. Had a laminectomy where they just shaved some of your disc off, and as a consequence of it, a tackle. You know, so yeah, so that was it was full on.
Does that still give you grief?
Mate, I've had
What injuries have you had?
I tell you, I've had 2 laminectomies, and I've had 3 laminectomies. I've had my spine fused, and I had a hip resurfacing, which is like nearly a hip replacement. Yeah, had that about a year and a half ago.
How's that now,
mate? It's like I said, I'm very resilient, so it doesn't stop me from doing anything, but it has slowed me down in some things I've done. I've got a tendon now that I've got to get reattached to my Achilles, so I'm going to have surgery for that. But I think I spoke to you, like you know, when we caught up for a coffee, and I don't know if we're going to get into, you know, some of that stuff later, but you know, I think there's lots of reasons why I am like I am now. So
and that might as well bring it up now. Okay. And again, part of this podcast is not only life during the police, but there's a lot of people now reaching out and listening that, you know, are dealing with facing leaving the police for their own reasons. Some workplace, either physical or mental injury, and then how to deal with life after the cops. And so, you know, part of this is, you know, sharing what life is like after the police and what we. It's easy to know, you know, this is what the jobs that we go to, but you know, a lot of people don't realise that you can be affected for life from what you're exposed to in the police. And you know, are you able to share the time where you thought, "Oh, I need to leave," and the decisions that come around that?
Yeah, I can, mate. I remember it was I think it was about 2013 or 2014. It was 2014. I was the year the Bunnies won the grand final. So I remember,
greatest year of my life so
year,
far.
But I remember I told you, like, you know, that grand final day was, you know, one of the worst days of my life.
Good for you.
So I was working at the child abuse squad, and again, mate, like I had nothing. Well, it was just a build up of things, you know, and I thought I was just going fine in the police, you know, like there was a lot of things that I did that were very tough, but I never really threw up my hand many times and said, "Hey, I need some help."
Yep.
You know, I just always thought that was just. I don't know if I was too proud, or I thought it'd be frowned upon by my peers, or I would lose my position where I was if I ever threw up my hand.
Yeah.
You know, so it's tough. Like the cops is tough like that.
Yeah.
You know, and anyway, so just going back to your question, I sort of I really liked the people I worked with at the child abuse squad, even though I had no idea really what I was doing. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it there, you know. So, I got up to go for what Belle, my wife, Linda, she was down in Goulburn doing a course.
Yep.
So I was here and had the kids. I think the kids were here. I think they the two boys are with my ex-wife. So I don't think they were here. I think my daughter was here, you know, and I had to drop her to childcare, and then I would go to work. And I was just, man, I just had this wake up and I just had a really crook gut. I had butterflies, and I was really anxious for some reason. And I went to go to work. I dropped Ella off at daycare, and was on the way to work, and just I pulled over on the side of the road and I had a spew. Right, and I went, oh, this is. So I just wasn't feeling it, but I wasn't feeling sick like I had the flu or anything like that. I rang up my supervisor at Charterby School and I said to her, I don't know why, I feel sick. I'm not going to come. I can't come in today. Yeah, no worries. I got home. I spoke to Belle. Said I dropped her off and spewed on the side of the road. She goes, "What's wrong?" I said, "I don't know. I don't know." And then she was still away. Then the next day, got ready. Usually I'd go to the gym first thing in the morning. I trained at a CrossFit gym and did the 6 a.m. class, and then would come home and go to work and I same thing. I just had this level of anxiety and I didn't even leave the house. I started vomiting at home, and then I just started crying. I just remember crying. What am I crying for? I didn't even know why I was crying.
Yeah.
That was my last day in the cops. Yeah, so I rang up and just said, "Hey, I just can't come in today."
Yeah.
And
were they supportive of that?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
mate,
it's good.
that my supervisor at the time, she was awesome. Yeah, she's awesome, and we're still friends.
Yeah.
So she was awesome. And that was my last day, man.
Yeah.
So after that, it was
Did you have a feeling in you that would be your last day, or
No, I had no idea.
Yeah.
No, honestly, I had no idea. I had no idea.
Yeah.
I don't know what was going on.
Yeah.
So I never suffered from anxiety or depression. Sometimes I get anxiety, through some of the work that I used to do. Like
Yep.
I worked a tough job for a long time, so I'd get anxiety. But the same anxiety you get from playing a game of footy or something like that,
Yeah.
So, before a game, it was that kind of anxiety, and it was exciting, and stuff like that. So things just felt different. It just felt different,
Yeah.
And I didn't know why I was crying. I didn't know why I was down. I just had no idea.
Yeah.
Why I was feeling like I was feeling.
And so
I was actually quite embarrassed.
yeah.
I was actually quite embarrassed, feeling like I was feeling. I was embarrassed to tell my wife,
Yeah.
that I couldn't go to work because I was crying,
Yeah, and like you said before, like as a man in the police, or your position that you have, you don't want to appear weak, and you're embarrassed. You don't want to lose your position.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
And so, what happened after that?
I went and I had an awesome GP. So I went and saw her, and I sort of told her what was going on, and she just really wasn't surprised by my the way I was feeling and the symptoms I had and what I was going through and what I did in the police. And she just went I'm just really surprised that you lasted this long, and she said, you've got anxiety. Sounds like you got depression, and let me send you to a specialist. So she sent me to a specialist.
And was that the first time you got to speak to someone about how you're feeling?
My GP?
Yeah. Oh,
yeah.
no, you're the specialist then, or you?
Yeah. He was a psychiatrist.
Yeah.
and he was very very pro police. And his basically thing was, a hard-working police officer, 5 years shelf life, that's it.
Yeah.
And as funny as some of the stories that, we share and go through, and some of the funny times, like, I worked hard, I worked hard in the cops, and it's the guys and girls that work hard that get, fucked over, really, and
the relentless pursuit of trying to help, and, the ones that just go to job, because, I've worked with people that were just stats driven. More intel and,
but that's okay.
And that's okay.
That's okay.
Exactly. Everyone has their
God, I wish I was I still wish I was the youth liaison officer at Bankstown. I don't care. There's someone's got to do it, and it's just that's just the job. There's all everyone wears different hats, and I chose the field that I chose, and I loved it. But made it ultimately it destroyed a big part of my life.
Yeah. Are you able to share what you went through in the next year or so?
Yeah. So I saw the specialist. I was diagnosed with anxiety, major depression, and post traumatic stress disorder. Mate, and I was embarrassed. I never thought of myself as a tough guy, or anything in the police. But I always thought, I could handle myself all right, and worked in areas where you needed to handle yourself all right, and where if things turned to shit, you'd the risk was death, and things like that. So I prided myself on how good I was at I prided myself on how good I was at my job. And awards mean jack shit. Like that. It's nice to be recognised. But there's a lot of police that do a lot of hard things that go unrecognised, and that worked harder than me. But I got a few awards along the way for different jobs I did. So it was hard, mate. It was hard. How do you tell blokes that you work with that you've gone off because you can't handle it? Now I wouldn't blink to if I went through that again, I wouldn't blink, and I'd be very different in sharing it. So, but at the time, it's hard,
very hard, and you're probably still trying to process it yourself. Let alone verbalise it to others.
So, mate, I went through a long time of just, mate, I couldn't control myself from crying. So, and that last, mate, I remember, God, I remember being in movies where I go, fuck, I can't leave. My wife, I said to her, we just have to stay, because I was sobbing for whatever reason, and I couldn't leave until, I remember going to, this is funny, not funny, but I remember watching that there was a Beatles movie called Yesterday. Yeah. I went with with my kids, right? And for some reason, it triggered things, right? And I cried, and the kids, and at first they were going, "Dad, what's wrong?" And I couldn't stop, So we're in this theatre, up in Penrith. I was in there for 25 minutes after and because I couldn't leave, and they stopped from laughing to about it, going like, "Dad, are you all right?" And then they started getting upset. So I just
what's it like to see your kids upset like that?
Tough, mate. It was tough, they went. That was the hardest thing, because I was there. I was their rock. So
it's hitting me in the field.
So I was their rock. To see this bloke that was like this, and then to see the bloke that couldn't get out of bed, to see the bloke that couldn't get out of bed. And at first I tried to hide it from them, and it just got, they were old enough to see what was going on.
Do you remember your lowest point?
I do. Yeah. Look, there was times I thought about killing myself a lot because I just couldn't cope. You know what? I just couldn't cope with the anxiety anymore. I just went, how long is this feeling in my body? How long am I going to feel like this? It was tiring, mate. I was so tired. And I was taking the heaviest sleeping tablets I could get my hands on, and not sleeping. Not sleeping, and I was so tired, mate. And I just went, I don't want to feel like this anymore, So I didn't. It's not that I wanted to. I just wanted to be out of that pain, So I
You didn't want to die.
No, I didn't want to die, but I didn't want to feel. I didn't want to. I just felt like I was in this pain, constant pain, and I just needed. I didn't really know what to do, So I spoke to my specialist, and he goes, "Why don't you spend some time in hospital for a little while?" And again, like I'm a proud guy, and that was just pulling me in all sorts of different directions. Like I don't, St John of God, he said I go to St John of God at Richmond for a while just to get some respite, But mate, I can't handle I'm going to Byron Bay next week, and I'm like with just me and Belinda, and I'm stressing about being away from the kids for one day.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? As good as it sounds,
yeah.
I love being around my family.
Yeah.
And I just the whole thing about being away from your family, and feeling like your weakest piss to go into this mental institution, because that's what it was seen as, and you know what, mate, I'll throw up my hand and say, when I was in the job and people would go to St John of God, I'd be going, full of shit, come on, you're all right, but mate, when it actually happens to you, and you just go, fuck, I feel so helpless. So I went there, mate, cried and cried and cried, and Belinda would come every day, and every time she would leave, I would cry. And there was a day that I was there, that I was out in that, like, I don't know if you know Richmond, St John of God, but it's beautiful. Like it's on beautiful grounds. It's quite sad that people have to go there and go through what they do, but it is a good place. It is a beautiful place, and I just went there one day, and I remember thinking I was that low. I just thought, if I had the means to do something to myself at that time, there was like a split second. There was about this 30 second to 1 minute window that I thought, if I had the means to do something to myself now, I would have done it then. I just remember, and everything just blacked out in my life. I remember it was almost. I've nearly fainted once on the parade ground in Goulburn because I had tonsillitis, and it was about 44 degrees, and I just remember everything blacking out. And I saved myself, but I didn't quite fall, but I nearly did. And I just remember I had that same feeling where nothing else mattered, So I had suicidal thoughts, a lot, but what would always stop me was what I had in my life, and seeing what suicide did to families, especially being in the police and having colleagues suicide, and seeing what that did to their families. So that always stopped me. But there was this one time that I thought, no, if I had the means to do it, and that was that time, I would have done it. And that lasted for about a minute, and it was like I blanked out for a minute. Yeah.
After that minute, was there moments after that was relief, or was it scared? Were you scared? Were you?
Oh yeah, I was scared, mate. I never thought I was going to get out of the hole that I was in.
Yeah.
I just, you know what? I was on medication for depression, anxiety, sleeping, and I still felt depressed, and I still felt anxious, and I couldn't sleep. And I went, am I going to be like this for the rest of my life? Am I going to have this feeling for the rest of my life? You know? And it was if that day when I couldn't go to work, when I told you I felt sick, it was if, like, you know, your cup, you know, sort of, you know, it just goes trickle, 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 and that's what it was like.
And sounds like it didn't stop overflowing for some time.
And it didn't stop, mate. Yeah.
Did you find that? So did you have one stay at St John of God?
I had two.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you find the first one helpful?
I found it helpful. I found it helpful from a respite.
Yep.
Like, you know, just getting away. I wasn't coming out of my bedroom, so I mean, we're in my house now, but I wasn't coming out of my bedroom. So, like, Belinda was in the cops, so she'd be out all day, and it would be a good day if she came home and the dishes were done. Like, that would be a good day. You know, that means, well, at least he's come down stairs and done that, you know. I found it a respite from that, but mate, you know, to be honest, you know, and you know, I'm all about honesty now. And, you know, you go in there and there's a lot of disenchanted people that have gone through, you know, the cops and the police, the insurance system, and you know, we know how hard that is, and it's a little bit of a hate on the cops, and I didn't really like that aspect of it, so much, because I mean, I loved my job. You know, it just broke me. You know, so I loved my being in the cops, and I loved what I did, but mate, it just broke me.
Yeah,
to be honest, and I didn't feel. Look, there was periods down, you know, in terms of the insurance company, and you know, and some dealings that I had with the police after that, you know, but I didn't hate them.
Yeah,
yeah, and it caused a little bit of a hate, and I wanted to go in there and be healed. You know, I didn't want to go in there and get involved in that sort of hate police, hate the organisation.
Yep.
You know, it was hard. Like, you know, and I don't know what it's like in there now, but you're sharing a room with, you know, people that you don't know, and I met some awesome people.
Yeah,
yeah, I met some people, and you know, it's funny the people that you bump into.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah, absolutely,
who you know, and stuff.
It's a small world.
Yeah, yeah. So, mate, I sort of had I trained a lot in there. I got some of the guys, you know, a little team of about 10 guys in there, and we do like I run some because
it's probably good for you.
It was good, yeah, and it was good for them, and I felt good doing that, you know, and you know, hence later on, you know, that it gave me the drive to open up, you know, the gym.
Yeah. I'll definitely get to that.
Yeah. Can
you give an insight into what they go through, maybe the program to try and heal you in there?
Yeah, it's you're free to do whatever you really want in there. Like, if you don't, there's I did the PTSD program, like that was an in-house sort of thing, you know. But even that was hard, because again, I was sort of in there to heal.
Yeah,
I was in there to heal, and then excuse me, mate.
All right, mate.
Let's have a sip of water.
Yeah.
I was in there to heal, and there was guys in there to heal, but you know, I remember there was this one guy. He was a commando, right? And awesome guy, but mate, every night would be watching like things on YouTube, like films and videos that he had, like from where they had the GoPros on his missions from the Middle East.
Wow.
You know, and
in their recovery.
Yeah, I'm going, mate, what hell are we? I said, this is awesome. You know, to this heavy metal music, you know.
Yeah.
And he'd go through it, and I'll be just going, oh my God. I'll be going, mate, you know, I won't say his name, but I said, how are you supposed to heal if you're watching this?
Yes.
You know.
What did he say? Did you remember? Yeah.
I'll be right. Yeah,
I'll be right.
I'll be right. But he wasn't. He clearly wasn't. Like, we're all mad.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. So would they?
Was
it mindfulness, exercise?
Yeah. Mindfulness. Yeah, the mindfulness stuff was awesome. You know, and it's stuff I still practice. You know, different forms of it, but I still practice it. You know, to this day. I could be better. You know, I could be better. I like my ability to stay still is terrible. But what they actually taught me was things like that. You don't have to think of nothing.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like it.
You don't have to think.
Yeah, which I always thought mindfulness and like, you know, like, and doing yoga and, you know, like I love doing yoga. No, I love the thought of doing yoga. Once I'm in there, I keep looking at my watch going like, I want to do these things, but I want to be out of here too. What am I going to do in an hour? What am I going to eat? You
Where
know,
can I go next?
Yeah, where can I go next? That's just my personality, right?
Yeah.
But that I always thought I'm not good at it, you know, because I can't. But, you know, who can ever think of nothing? You know, so we got taught really good techniques in, you know, you have the thought, let it go. Even if another one comes into you, because when you try and think of nothing, you think of a million things.
Yeah.
You know, so it was, I got taught a lot of really good things, you know, and
because a lot of just on that, and if you've got advice for everyone who may be going through this something very similar, is a lot of people think mindfulness or meditation is weak, or is rubbish, or, you know, is for, I don't know, but I find it really helpful.
Mate, it's the best.
Yeah.
Do you know, mate? I coach an under 15s team, and I train an under 18s team at Londonderry. And mate, there's some like fairly tough boys that have come from everywhere, right? And I've got them this year. And at the end of every session, right, the first session we did, I said to them, mate, boys, we're gonna do some breath work, and you know what? You're going to think this is bullshit, and I don't care, but we're just going to do it.
Yeah.
And do you know what, mate? I don't know if you saw a photo of my gym the other day. I'll show it to you later. But I had all those boys on the floor and in the gym, and they love it. It's their favourite part, because what it does, it calms them down. They don't leave hyped up. You know what it's like after you train, and you know you're on this high, and they're 17-year-old boys, and they, you know, half of them want to go and have a beer, and you know, and they really can't, you know, and
the other half want to chase girls.
Yeah, that's right. But they settle right down, mate, and they love it, you know. And mate, they had something that's totally out of their realm, you know. So it is super. It's a real good thing to do. But yes, it was when I first started doing it, I'm going like, this is bullshit. You know, I don't need to do this. You know, looking around like, you know, when's this going to be over?
Yeah.
You know,
I think the more Stavs and the more Matt Hamiltons, you know, preach the mindfulness and meditation and breath work, like you see these guys doing it because there's such benefit, others will follow.
Yeah,
so I think there needs to be so much awareness brought to how powerful that can be to quietening the mind.
Yeah, mate, I went to Costa Rica on a retreat and did some breath work over there, and it was almost like you're high. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it was like that. You know, it was amazing.
Yeah, mate. You had a second stint in St John of God.
Yeah.
What caused that, and the lead up to that, and that you thought, okay, I need another visit in there?
Okay, yeah. So I just decided to just stop my meds.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't want to. I'm just sort of all or nothing, sort of kind of bloke, and I just decided to go. I was sick of being on them because like I said, I wasn't sleeping. I was still depressed, and I was still getting anxiety. And every time you go to the doctor, you know, they would change it. You know, they would go, try this one. Okay, and I would always say, hey, what's the side effects of this one? And they go, oh yeah, weight gain. And I went, well, I don't want to, like, you know, as horrible as that sort of sounds, that I don't want to put on weight. I didn't want to, like, you know, because I'm into my fitness and I look after myself, and that was going to be one thing that would make me depressed, you know. So, and I don't like feeling numb and tired all the time, and like I don't like being anxious, mate. But I sort of I perform well having a little bit of anxiety, you know. So I just you know, I did the wrong thing.
Yeah.
I stopped everything.
Yeah.
I stopped everything, and it just sent me down a massive hole.
And did that reset you, that second stint?
Yeah, going back, reset me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you now look back, you're able to take a step back and look at that from the time that you left until, you know, that you felt great. It felt good again. You felt okay. What sort of things did you do to manage yourself through that process, and how did you basically get out of hell?
Okay.
Because there's a lot of people that are reaching out that are right now in hell.
Yeah.
They're in and out of facilities. I don't know if I should just give up my meds. How can I get out of this?
Yeah. Well, I'm not saying what I did was
your experience.
I'm not saying what I did was right. Okay. Because it was I don't know with it. For me, it was I felt it was the right thing to do.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to be I didn't want to be on medication like for the rest of my life.
Yep.
You know, that's something I didn't want. I didn't. So I always looked at ways of how am I going to get off? How am I going to get off? You know, probably stopping everything that I was on. You know, you can't be on medication for depression and anxiety and sleeping and just one day have it and on high doses and then stop. You know, you can't do that.
Yeah.
And for some people that'll be catastrophic.
Yep.
You know, so definitely don't do that.
Don't do that.
Don't do that. Yeah. Don't do that.
Yeah.
You know, so so I sought the help of my psychiatrist, and I had an awesome GP.
Mm-hmm.
And I approached them and just said, hey, I want to come off my meds, and
come back into life
again, you know, because it wasn't me. Like it wasn't me. In the process, mate, what I would do is that I would just flog myself in the gym. Like I would absolutely give it to myself to the point where it was unhealthy. So it was unhealthy physically, and it was unhealthy mentally, because I would get myself into such a state that I would almost hyperventilate because of my anxiety. But I thought that was a way to cure. Now, 100% fitness and nutrition is the best thing, I think, for mental health from my perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, that from my perspective, that is the best thing to help, you know, one get out of that or aid with, you know, that time in your life, you know. But, mate, I pushed my body, and as a consequence, you know, I've got injuries now and pushed myself. So I just needed to find, you know, that sort of, I needed to push back a little bit on that, you know. And
did you find that?
But that's my character.
Yeah. Did you find that you had to find a thing and go to an absolute extreme to almost try to counteract how much pain you were in and suffering?
Yeah, because I got scared that if I didn't do that, I'd end up doing other things that would hurt myself. You know, and I didn't want to do that. Yeah. You know. Yeah. You know, I didn't. You know, there was times I even dabbled in the thought of, you know, recreational drugs and stuff like that, which I never did. Yeah. You know, but I thought, you know, maybe I need that. Is that going to help me? Yeah. You know, is that going to help me? Yeah. So I would I flogged myself, you know. Wow. But then it came to a point, and, you know, with Belinda's help, you know, I just said, look, this is what I want to do. I want to get off my medication, because, mate, I was just feeling like, I honestly thought it wasn't helping me. You know, like I'm sure it was.
Yep.
You know, but it just came to a point where I thought I'm anxious anyway. I was hanging out to have me sleeping tablets to try and get that 1 or 2 hours sleep,
Yeah.
3 hours sleep, whatever it was. And I just thought, no, I don't want to be like this. I might as well not take anything.
Yeah.
So, with my psychiatrist's help and my GP's help, I started the road of getting off my meds.
Yeah.
I slowly taking them down. I dialed my training back, and nutrition. Like my nutrition is like always, you know, spot on.
Tip top.
Yeah. So I still like, you know, going to Messina and eating ice cream and stuff like that. But like, you know, I'm
Dog's eye at the footy.
Yeah. Well, mate, even that I've stopped. You know,
Really?
yeah, even that I've stopped. Yeah. So I think the best thing for me was fitness and nutrition. You
Yep.
know, and to this point, it still is.
Yeah.
You know, as soon as any of those get thrown out of sync, I'm not good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's the problem with some, you know, GPs and psychiatrists, that there's not enough. I don't know. Sometimes I think it's too easy to hand out
Pills. Yep.
and not go, hey, what are you doing in your what are you doing for your fitness? Because they don't know. Because you know, because doctors don't know about fitness. They don't know about nutrition, proper nutrition.
Proper
nutrition.
Yeah.
You know, not like, you know, the food pyramid.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
they don't know about that. You know, and that's where I think that a lot of police and emergency service workers can get better help. You know, in terms of that stuff, because, you know, shift work's hard.
It's ridiculously hard.
You know, because
it takes a lot out of you.
yeah, I could never do it. You know, like, that was one of the things, you know, so going back, that was another thing. I hated shift work, you know, so because I could never sleep.
Yep.
And, you know, it destroys your body. You can't get used to it. You know, you know. So there needs to be some services there for police to be better equipped with to deal with things like that, to deal with, you know, being a cop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think it would be helpful to have a psychiatrist or a counsellor who's independent of police policy and procedure in stations, or a group of stations that police?
I've thought about this, right? So they do have. Is it healthy lifestyles? Whatever it's called. I don't know what they're called now.
From my memory, it was something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, but I sort of feel like they need something better than that. It's almost that they need, you know, and I'm, you know, not saying someone like me or, you know, but something external, sourced to work with, that's not invested or doesn't see it as just, oh God, I've got to work at Healthy Lifestyles and I've got to deal with these cops again, and
it's not a tick and flick
Yeah,
exercise.
do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Look, I know there's things like the fitness passport and that, you know, but you know what? Our gym's not covered by We can't afford to get involved in the fitness passport because we make no money on it, and we're just small.
Yeah.
You know, but you know what? We give, you know, and gyms like Hamo's as well. I don't think you can do it at his gym either, use fitness.
No, but I think there's an incentive if you are police, fireys, ambos, or military.
Yeah. Well, mate, see, we don't do that.
Yeah.
You know, and, you know, Matt and I are both ex-cops, but we don't do that because we just sort of felt like, you know what, why should we give it to cops and fireys when we've got nurses, teachers, single mums,
exactly,
you know, who are on less coin, and mate, even when I was in the cops, like, I was embarrassed to go to places and get discounts.
Yep.
You know, when I went through that Cronulla riots thing and we're getting free food at Cronulla, I was embarrassed. I wouldn't go to places like that. You know, where some cops love that shit.
They,
you know?
Some
you know,
do. Some
half price Maccas
and
free. You know, where's my, you know, put their badges on if they're in, you know, they're detectives in their, you know, in their suits, and go, where's me half price Maccas? You know. You know, so
a question I wanted to ask you before we get to like how you are now.
Yep.
How did you deal with the loss of identity as a police officer?
It's hard at the start, you know, and it's super hard because, mate, again, like I was very proud of what I did in the cops, you know, very proud of what I did in cops, and it was tough to go from these heights, you know, to being stuck in your room, you know. So I was embarrassed. I was embarrassed, mate. You know, like it was hard to tell people that you're an ex-cop, you know, and you know, why did you leave, you know, and it was some of the hardest conversations I had, you know, with people, and it does it destroys your pride, you know, especially if you're good at what you did, and you know, I'm not pissing my pocket, but I was good at what I did, you know, and then there was the guilt of going off sick, you know, and you know, like I know there was people that I worked with that, you know, whether they don't believe me or I mean, I don't really give a shit, you know, but you know that hurts, you know, because like I said, mate, a lot of people can throw stones, you know, and at you, it's easy to throw stones, you know, you know.
How long did it? Oh, so just on that, I had an amazing conversation recently with Lisa Doherty from Police Legacy.
Yep.
And she never refers anymore to people as ex-police, because an ex means, it can be implied that you're an ex and that's it. You're no longer serving at all and you're no longer useful. And so she reframed it to me to refer to yourself as a former police officer, because former is a word that it's something that you used to do, and if something was to happen now, you would still step in and help.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, but we always get referred to as ex-coppers.
And we all refer to each other
as ex-coppers.
As ex-cops.
Mate, I do it. I still do it.
Yeah.
I still do it in the gym.
Yeah. And it made so much sense to me that, okay, when you refer to yourself as former rather than an ex, it means that, well, former means you'll still do it again, or you could do it again, or you'll just jump in and help somewhere. And I've shared that with someone else who's had a real tough time saying, telling people what they do now and referring to themselves as an ex-cop.
Yeah.
And so I've shared that with them about try former, and that's helped. And so
that's much better. Well, I've been out 6 years now, you know, and it's probably only now that I just go, hey, it was just another phase in my life.
Beautiful, yeah.
You know, so
it was a chapter in your life.
And that's taken me probably to now.
Yeah,
you know, the last couple of years to realise that.
Yeah,
you know, and that's okay because God, there's no way that going where I was that I still could have been a cop till I was 65.
Yeah.
Doing what I was doing, or
imagine that.
Oh, no way. No, and you know, there's some guys that do it, and good on them, you know. So yeah, mate, it's tough. Like, you know, it was tough, you know. And mate, you know, I think I spoke to you when we caught up. You know, I did go through like I did do a stupid thing in relation to, you know, speaking in the media about something, you know, and copped a lot of shit about it, and I apologised, you know, like I threw up my hand and apologised about it, and shouldn't have done it, you know, and was taken out of context a little bit, you know, but mate, again, like the same people that would put shit on me have done other things in their lives, you know, you know, so
it's life, mate.
Yeah, that's it, you know.
There's
so
no right, wrong,
good,
bad, it's life.
Yeah.
So fast forward to now.
Yep.
How's life? What are you doing?
Awesome. Yeah, really good. Yep. So, as you know, I own Zealous Fitness, which used to be CrossFit Zealous. You know, we dropped the affiliation this year.
Amazing gym, mate. I've watched it grow from when it was born to
it started in my little garage here. So I affiliated in my garage. Yep. I've done it with one of my best friends, Matt O'Brien.
Yep.
Who we worked together in the cops with. And
so how long you had that for?
We opened in December 2016. Yep.
Nice.
Yeah. And
what's been the most enjoyable part of that 5 years? What do you love most about it?
I know this is like cliche in CrossFit gyms and stuff like that, but definitely the community we've created. Like I know that it's cliche, you know, and a lot of you know CrossFit gyms and that style of gyms say that, but
100%.
I've seen people come in like, you know, depressed and you know have mental illnesses and think I can't do this, and they're still with us, you know, and I've seen, you know, like, you know, the best friends, you know, I've seen people get married, I've seen people have babies, you know, as a result of, you know, what we've created, and we've created this, you know, awesome community, and you know, I know there's a lot of people, you know, and Matt and I are very different people, like very different, and you know, poor old Matt used to get a little bit of stick for being the person that he is, you know, but, you know, best guy in the world, most honest person I know, and we worked awesome together in the cops, and that's why I knew that this would work. I think one thing we told each other from the start is that we'll never quantify, you know, what we did, like in terms of hours. You know, we both worked just as hard. And
equally passionate.
And
on the same page.
And we're just different. We're just different. We're just different dudes. You know, like you know, Matt's the facts and figures, and you know, he worries about things, and I'm just, you know, the dude that, you know, tries to pull all the community together.
It's a perfect relationship.
Yeah. So they come to me with their problems. And then I go and tell Matt, and he shakes his head sometimes. But we get on awesome. And
you actually run some wellbeing like retreats.
We did. We haven't done it for a while. But we did run a couple of retreats about, you know, facing your fears, and that included some things that we did in the cops. You know, we're pretty open and honest in those retreats. You know, under you know, confidentiality and stuff like that about what we did and how we handled stress and anxiety in different jobs we did, and we got a couple of people from some of our police friends there, and to talk about, you know, their what they did in the job too, and then put people through a couple scenarios. You know, what Matt and I actually taught in the cops, you know, was, you know, one you know, probably, you know, the hardest mental courses. You know, Hamo talks about, you know, the TOU being the most physical, and what we taught was, you know, mentally the hardest. You know, so we've got good skills. We've got good skills from that. We haven't done one for a while. We've been talking about it. I actually spoke to Hamo about doing something with him. It's to bring in both the physical and the mental thing together.
Every chaos.
Hard. So we actually spoke to him a couple of weeks ago about doing something like that, and you know, sort of people do, you know, abseiling, like, you know, people being in tears and physically shaking. And, you know, we'd do abseiling with them, and it was pretty cool. Like, you know, it was pretty cool. So we've done that.
You got teens as well.
Yeah, we coach kids. We coach kids and teens, and like, again, like in a really good environment, because team sport's hard for kids. You know, like if you know, like if you can't play a sport and you go to a team, you get teased sometimes. You know, but we have this. We have that just doesn't happen in our gym, and you know that CrossFit or that style of training, strength and conditioning, is awesome for especially teens, because they can sort of adapt to it and grow at their own pace, right? But they're still involved in a team, in a positive environment, you know, and team sport is like, especially rugby league, you know, because it can be ruthless, you know, depending on who your coach is and you know what systems are in place, you know, and it can definitely affect a kid, you know. So we have a teens program, a pre-teens program, a kids program, run by our coach Gab, you know, who's really passionate about it. You know, and she used to do it too, so I coach her in the teens, and she's gone through her own battles, and she wouldn't care if I say that, you know. So she loves that.
It's amazing how people can go through their own battles and come out the other side, and then they use that to help others.
And I sort of feel the same, in anything I do. And, I spoke to you before about maybe, there's still aspects I miss of the cops, mate.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't have that camaraderie anymore.
Yeah.
Of colleagues. Yes, there's me and Matt, and I still train with a bunch of good people, but it's very different. Yeah, it's very different.
Mate, I think you've done an amazing job with Zelos, and
Thanks.
I'm sure it'll continue to thrive with you guys at the helm.
We've got
driving there.
Yeah, we've got a few plans coming up. So
it's good.
Yeah.
I'll put up some details.
Awesome.
During this, 2 more things.
Yep.
For those joining the cops at the moment, or very young in there, or very junior in their service, do you have any advice for them?
Don't be cocky. Make sure you treat. I always found the best cops spoke to every member of the public as they were a friend. And mate, I think that's why I was good at my job. Because I don't care what I lock someone up for. You're going to get most out of people if you spoke to them like humans.
Yep.
And there's no use treating someone like shit if you're trying to get them out of a truck and want to get them into a cell, or you want to search them because you're going to get up and get into a fight.
Yep.
Physically. I think that's a big aspect. And again, in terms of soliciting information off people, it's you talk to them, you treat them like, they don't have to be your best friend. Yeah, they could be a piece of shit. Who cares? But they'll be easier to manage, easy to cooperate with. But again, mate, that's a learnt thing.
Yeah.
So great job. I did have. It is a good job. And like I said, I got my young bloke who wants to go in there.
Yep.
Talks about going in there, and I'm not going to put him off going in there, but I just want to make him aware that that it can be tough and stuff
and
like
look
that.
after your mental health. Or it's not weak to speak up and always share what you feel.
Yeah.
Last thing.
Yep.
On the other end of the spectrum, someone who is feeling like you did, alone and really doing it tough. Any advice for them in this moment?
You have to find someone that you can speak to. Speaking to someone, the more you bottle things up, if you bottle things up for 3 years, it could take another 3 years for that, that pain to sort of to get better. It's going to get better. You need to speak to people. You need to you need to find things that make you feel better physically. Do you know what I mean? Don't be afraid to speak to people. This is things that I learnt because I didn't do all that stuff. So I learnt the hard way where I hit a brick wall. You need to speak up. I think the cops need to find ways where they can make it easier for people to speak up, and it's tough. It can be very tough, mate.
Yeah. And you will get through this.
And you get through. If you want to get through, you'll get through. Mate, I've come through. Oh, mate, don't get me wrong. I still have my moments, and I always will. Like I always will. It will never go away. It will never go away. But you get if you get the right team around you, and team I mean, go to the right gym. Have if you don't like your doctor, go to another doctor. We don't have to go to the same doctor that's he's our family doctor for 40 years. Try someone else. If you don't like your psychologist, go see another psychologist.
Yep. Great advice, mate.
100%. And it's okay to speak to people that have been through it before. And especially people that have been through it and come out the other end.
Exactly.
Reach out to me.
Same, mate.
I'll speak to anyone.
The best travel guides are the ones that have already walked the path.
100%. So I've been there, I've done it. Happy to talk to anyone.
Yeah,
as yourself, mate. And that's how we sort of, we met through our gyms and that, you know, and you're a bunny supporter.
Yeah, that's it.
I like
Stocks have elevated.
Yeah, I like you. I liked you even more when I found out that, mate. So yeah.
Well, mate, look, Gary, I can't thank you enough for what you've done.
Oh, no.
This will definitely bring some awareness, and it will help people. The more stories that we can share and experiences that we can share, the more help it will give people currently going through it. Mate, I admire you, and I've always watched you from a distance and respected everything that you've done, and mate, all the best and for Zealous, and we'll might have to do a league podcast.
Mate, anytime. I love rugby league.
Mate, thank you.
Thanks, mate.
All right, legend.
Thanks.
Cheers.